and welcome to episode 69 of Cutscene Convos. This week we have got a character profile on Scarlett Spider. We've got the weirdest relationships that have happened in comics. We've got final thoughts on Across the Spider-Verse before we go see it. There is a new trailer for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film. We've got a ram-packed Nerd News Network this week before getting into week 2 of our new bracket with the Content Championship, which is going to be X-Men Origins Wolverine versus Batman and Robin 1997. Ooh. But before we get into all that good stuff, Horizontal, how's your week been?
Trying not to laugh there, were you?
This is already a bad decision. So, okay, that's it. That we've got to address.
Yeah.
Okay, so normally I can't see Hori when we record because Hori records it all on his side. OBS doesn't allow, or no application allows your webcam to be used by two applications at the same time.
Yep.
So I've never been able to see Hori while recording. We recently, well, literally 20 minutes ago, started using the virtual cam option in OBS so that I could see Hori while we're recording. And as I'm doing the intro, I just see him go like that, and I'm like, fuck it, this is going to be dreadful.
I knew you were like episode 69. I was like, silly jump. And then it was just like, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna.
I was actively trying to be like right there.
The thing is, I saw that it nearly sent you, and then that nearly sent me, and I was like, I can't laugh because if I start laughing, it's just gonna all collapse. Oh, what a start! What a start!
The secret to our success is we couldn't see each other.
Yeah, that's how we've kept our composure this whole time. What have I done this week? It's been a weird one. What has even happened? I don't even know what's happened.
Like, it feels like regularly scheduled shows absolutely fucks our timetable.
Mate, it's like a blur of like spotty kind of like. Obviously, been playing games and stuff, and played Valorant the other day. Usual, yeah, got me more back into Valorant. But other than that, it's like works in a weird spot. I try to not go too much into my work, mainly because I can't most of the time because of NDAs. But like, I vented to you and Josh this week.
I'm so important that I have to sign NDAs.
I signed a NDA for just everything. It's not multiple. But I vented to you and Josh a bit this week, but things are just weird spot with work and trying to figure out this freelancing thing and what's next and where do I take it and keep growing it and different things. And yeah, a bit of a weird spot with work. I'm cool, like interest. Well, outside of this, my girlfriend is, so context, one of my friends is buying a house or has bought a house and had a spare room and he wanted to rent it out. So I offered it to my girlfriend who lives down south. So she is moving up here, or to Manchester at least. So like 40 minutes rather than closer. Like 4.5 hours. So yeah, that's happening in like a week. Not this weekend, the next weekend. So I will be.
That would be good for the mental.
It will. Hiring a van, helping her with that. So got that. That was a bit of like a sudden. Basically, my mate found out this last week, getting keys. So it's like, oh shit, it's all happening now. So yeah, I had that plus work, and then it's just like trying to escape into gaming to clear the head.
Yeah.
But yeah, weird week. How's your week been?
Not too bad. It's getting, all of a sudden the holiday that I booked in February is like 6 weeks away. Yeah. And I'm like, shit, I've not left the country properly since before COVID. I have no warm weather holiday clothes that fit. I don't have travel insurance, which we now need because of like EU stuff coming out. Like the way the EU, it's like, yeah, you actually really need travel insurance now. And like, because we just bought a package because we were like, we don't want this to be stressful. We're not building our own holiday. We're like, okay, website, package, this package good, we'll have that one, which means we're not flying from the airport that's 20 minutes away. It's like a bit further away. But that means we don't know what the car parking situation is. So we had to book car parking. So it was just kind of like, okay, we need to just sit down and work all this stuff out because it's pure and chaos. As well as last Friday, Jenna's aunt from Australia got in, who we've not seen since COVID. Yeah, since COVID. So it was popped round to see her before she went away to the next part of her holiday on like the Monday. It was a long bank holiday weekend, so it's balancing
Yeah.
stuff and
That,
trying to write up all of my notes because just having notes prepared is good, and
that's
it's
another
just
thing.
chaos.
I forgot it was bank holiday till it was like on the Monday. I'm like, oh yeah, it's another bank holiday. Like this month of May is just
I got up
vanished.
on Tuesday and I was like, shit, I'm cutting it fine here. If there's any traffic, I'm going to be late for work. I get in the car and I leave, and I'm like, as I get onto my main road, because you can tell pretty quickly where I live how
Mm.
traffic's going to be, and there was not a car in sight. And I get to work really early, and I'm like, oh shit, it's half term.
Yeah,
There's
it
no
is.
because of where I live. There's so many schools not that far
Oh,
away,
yeah,
which means a lot of our traffic, like
school
at
traffic.
going to work time, is school traffic. So I'm just like, oh, getting to work and home from work every day this week is going to be a piece of piss. So yeah, it's
Weird.
been a weird
Yeah,
week.
it's been a weird month, to be honest. Feels like we had a
But
bank
it's
holiday every week.
but it's fine because Spider
Mm.
Verse is here.
This is true. As you're
This
watching this,
yeah. As this is coming out, I'm like 8 hours away from going to watch it.
mm,
I cannot wait. So we're gonna be doing our last of the Spider Verse character profiles this week, and
nice.
I've saved an absolute corker.
Oh,
This
exciting.
character has got a smaller character profile than you could do on them because of the history and lore around this character.
Okay,
Um, but there is only so much we can fit in without it getting monologue-y.
I get you.
Um, so today we're going to be discussing Benjamin Riley, aka the Scarlet Spider. First appearance made in July 75 in Amazing Spider-Man 149. Now, a lot of people will know the Scarlet Spider because he's been in a lot of the various Spider-Man games over the year. He's got a very
Mm.
iconic outfit, like the all red outfit with like the blue cut-off hoodie with like the spray paint spider. One of my favorite Spider-Man looks.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people don't realize, who aren't avid comic book fans, is that Ben Riley is a genetic clone of Peter Parker, and he's
Oh.
also from Earth 616. And he
Oh,
was created by Miles Warren, aka the Jackal. So he
okay.
was created in 1975 and appeared to die in his first appearance. So
Tough scenes.
he was created to be an evil version of Spider-Man that was going to ruin Spider-Man's reputation, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so after his apparent death, Peter believed he was dead. He fled New York and took on the name of Ben in honor of his uncle Ben,
Nice.
and Riley in honor of May's maiden name.
Oh.
Because he was a genetic clone, he had all of Peter's memories, everything.
Mm-hmm.
After many years of doing odd jobs and helping out by using his spider powers across the country, he came back to New York after learning that Aunt May was seriously ill. Um, After Peter and him overcame their distrust and lack of comfort with one another, because it's quite
Mm-hmm.
distressing to just see a clone of yourself, they ended up becoming friends and even worked as co-workers, with Ben taking on the mantle of Scarlet Spider and giving New York an additional protector.
Nice.
However, soon after that, it was discovered that Ben was in fact the original and Peter was the clone. And after their fight all them years ago, they had been swapped. Yes. So this is what is largely known as the Clone Saga. And while
Oh.
it has shaped a lot of Spider-Man lore, the Clone Saga is not well loved and it is quite hated
Mm.
because a lot of it, as far as I know, was handled via retcons. So instead of it being written with that intention,
Right.
it was different writers every 5 or 10 years going, oh, but wait, there's more. And everyone was going, this is so diluted and confusing, and I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Why'd you keep going back to it?
Yes. So this is all just a drop in the pond of the infamous Clone Saga, which also included more clones.
Oh.
It included false murder charges against Peter, who was actually Ben, but Peter would, as Ben, go to prison for Ben, who was Peter. You can see why it wasn't well liked.
Yeah.
And as recently as 2022, Ben has suffered a form of amnesia, which, as a result, he now hates Peter because he feels like Peter has stolen his memories and is refusing to give him access to his memories, which has made him evil, and he now operates as Chasm. During his time away, after the initial incident, he met Janine, who was. And make sure I get this right. He met her. They fell in love. Then he found out that she was actually a serial killer, but she had killed her family, who had been incestually abusing her for her entire life.
Okay.
Yes. For a long time, they kind of helped each other to be better people. Then, when he became Chasm, she became Hallow Eve.
Right.
Yeah, very kind of Joker Hobgoblin, but a bit more pumpkin-y kind of style. And they're villains at the minute. Ben Reilly is actually quite a beloved character in spite of people's feeling towards the Clone Saga.
Okay.
And him as the Scarlett Spider is something I'd actually like them to bring back. There was also a time where actual Peter and Mary Jane got married and left New York.
Okay.
And Ben stayed in New York as the one and only Spider-Man.
Right.
That was when he had a slightly different suit. So yeah, there's been lots of shenanigans. I wouldn't be wholly surprised if at some point some genius thinks it'd be a good idea to say, oh no, it was actually the inverse of what you thought the entire time, to make it even more wacky and wild. But the really, really exciting news is he's going to be voiced by Andy Samberg in across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Which has me so excited.
He's going to be great.
I also didn't realize the three main variants of a Peter Parker Spider-Man that are in Across the Spider-Verse are voiced by Jewish actors. And Spider-Man, as well as a lot of, I think it's technically Bronze Age superheroes, are heavily Jewish coded. So your Superman, your Spider-Man, and a lot of others, even though they're never explicitly stated to be Jewish, are heavily Jewish coded through the way they're written and the people are writing their stories.
Yeah.
So a lot of the Jewish community is very excited that a lot of the main versions of Peter Parker are being voiced by Jewish actors, which is
cool.
very, very cool. It's a nice W for diversity and getting the right actors for the right jobs.
This is true.
But we're not going to end the weirdness with clones.
Oh no.
In honor of episode 69, I thought it was only right for us to discuss the weirdest relationships in comic book history. I have left a lot out here.
Oh.
There was so many options.
Okay.
I've just gone with some of my favorites here. I'm going to start with my absolute favorite, which I've mentioned 1,000,001 times.
Okay.
In the Ultimates universe, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who are still brother and sister in this universe, were in a very romantic relationship, including one instance where they were having a picnic that turned sexual while Wolverine watched from the bushes. The Ultimates universe was a thing.
Do you know what's bad? Is because of one person only ever being Wolverine. You saying Wolverine watching, I'm just picturing Hugh Jackman in a bush watching, and it's the weirdest mental image.
Do you know what the crazy thing is? Because the Ultimates universe, before this point, because it lasted too long, did so much good for Marvel. Because you know how last week we were talking about how you've got to grab the generation and raise the maturity of the content with them so they feel like it's still relevant. That's what the Ultimate Universe actually managed to accomplish. It gave us slightly more adult stories that meant them kids who were 13, 14, and they were like, okay, this is a bit kiddie now, had stuff
Yeah.
that felt more relevant to them. And then towards the end of it, it just got batshit crazy, as always happens with stuff. So while I think we're now getting to a point in the discourse where people are starting to realizing that the Ultimates did do a lot of good, despite some of its massive issues. Another one that I really, really enjoy and is hilarious. Jessica Jones. People of the layman will know her from her own Netflix show.
Yep.
In the comics, went to high school with Peter Parker, who she had a massive crush on.
Can you blame
To
her?
the point where years later,
Oh.
she found out that Spider-Man was Peter Parker while they were having a superhero-ish kind of meeting at one of the houses during an event, at which time Jessica is married to Luke Cage.
Oh. Okay.
And he's like, oh my God, I never knew. I hardly even remember you. And she's like, I was like madly in love with you. What do you mean? To which Luke Cage spits out his coffee and goes, madly in love? You said it was a little crush. Very, very funny.
I like that.
And has led to, as far as I'm aware, in comics even to this day, a little bit of a weird tension between Luke Cage and Spider-Man. Nothing major, just a
like,
general like, I'm not that fond of you. Because you remember, Luke Cage is like this quite stoic, he helps the streets kind of guy. And then you've got Peter, who is loudmouth, doesn't shut up, likes to go it alone a lot of the time instead of working with teams. It's just funny.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, just like you were saying with Hugh Jackman, I imagine the actress who plays Jessica Jones turning up and going to Tom Holland, I had a massive crush on you in high school. And I can imagine that interaction being very, oh, that was nice. Do I know you?
Yeah, that actually would be really funny.
Oh. A lot of these center around Spider-Man, I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And this next one is truly disturbing. Aunt May and Doc Ock.
Now, is this Doc Ock, like full Doc Ock?
It's Dr. Otto Octavius.
Okay, so it's before he's like...
I don't know 100%. I think it might have been during one of his recovery periods where he was sober from being a supervillain.
Okay. Sober from being a supervillain.
They almost got married.
What?
In fact,
I was thinking this is like
married.
a fling.
No. In fact, they may have got married.
Wild.
The worst part, where it gets really bad.
Oh.
So, there was a comic run, a very well-received comic run that people are very fond of, called Superior Spider-Man, in which Dr. Otto Octavius does a mind swap with Peter Parker, Freaky Friday style. And it lasts for a long time.
Oh, no.
During which time Otto does act as a hero in Peter's body to prove is like the ultimate way to one-up Spider-Man, that he would be a better Spider-Man than Peter ever could. This is where you get the iconic thing that gets discussed a lot of, oh, Spider-Man's always holding back. Well, at one point while fighting the Scorpion, Otto punches his jaw clean off. And that's when he realizes how much Peter's been holding back on him all these years.
Yeah.
And it's actually from that point on, you don't see Otto or Doc Ock fuck with Spider-Man as much. And when he does, he tries to keep it a little bit less physical just in case.
Yeah.
However, as part of this, they got access to each other's memories.
Oh, no.
So Peter, as part of the initial process when all their memories come flooding in, got treated to a very enthusiastic May on Doc Ock and Aunt May's wedding day, suggesting it's okay if we're a couple of minutes late to the ceremony.
Oh.
Traumatizing.
Yeah, that's not a memory you want to experience. Oh, poor Peter.
However, not as traumatizing as the next thing.
The thing is, I don't even know which one you're gonna pick.
So I believe this was also the Ultimate Universe. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was. There was another Freaky Friday situation with Spider-Man involving Wolverine. Freaky Friday situations in comic books are actually really common.
Oh.
So during this,
Mm.
as I'm sure you can imagine, Wolverine is trapped in the body of Peter Parker.
Right.
At this time, Peter is 15.
Right.
Logan's a couple of 100 years old mentally.
Yeah.
And he thinks it'd be a great idea to try it on with Mary Jane while in Peter's body. Mary Jane is also 15. It's very creepy. It's creepy if you just take Logan as how he looks as like 35.
Yeah.
Logan, while Hugh Jackman has done a lot for making the character a lot more likable, Logan is very far from a good person a lot of the time. Especially in the Ultimate Universe, they make him a lot scummier. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit.
That's a thing that happened.
That might be the worst one.
Yeah, the other ones are just a bit weird. I mean, incest is bad.
Yeah, but it happens in South America.
Yeah.
The South of America.
Then you've got, I mean, the Aunt May and Doc Ock one really isn't that bad. It's just traumatizing that Peter had to see it.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones having a crush on Peter Parker is just funny. This is genuinely very disturbing.
Yeah, it's a bit like whoever wrote this.
Yeah.
Maybe check on them.
And I think we're on the back half now where it's less funny and more disturbing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what universe this took place in. At one point, one of Tony Stark's Iron Man suits became fully sentient and fell in love with Tony. If this isn't a manifestation of Tony's narcissism, I don't know what is.
This is the thing. This is not too weird. This is just like actually something I could expect from Tony Stark.
Yeah. The problem is when Tony tried to reject his suit,
Uh-oh.
and it went batshit crazy, and then he had to fight his suit like a scorned lover. It's very comic booky.
Yeah.
Again, there's nothing inherently like about that, but it's a bit weird.
I think the Supergirl one's weirder.
Yeah, this next one might be as weird as the Wolverine one, especially once you've got the context to it.
Yeah, because I read this and I was like, what?
Yes. Okay, so Supergirl and her super horse. So, as I'm sure a lot of people will know, Batman has Ace the Bat Hound. Superman has Crypto the Superdog. And Supergirl, not long after her first appearance, got Comet the Super Horse. It makes complete sense. The idea was they were making Supergirl to get girls into comics. And what the little girls love, they want a pony. Yeah. It is very
cliche.
That part there is no issue with that. I get the logic. Whether you agree with it or not, you've got to understand what angle they were coming at. The problem comes when, in a number of issues, we got to see like thought bubbles and dreams of the super horse. And the super horse was falling in love with Supergirl. It gets even weirder when the super horse then gained the ability to temporarily and occasionally turn into a human man. During which time they did go on dates. Now, Supergirl has always said it was only ever as friends. But there is also an issue where she has a dream in which she makes an interesting facial expressions while riding the horse. Now, I'm willing to the argument maybe the artist and the writer had a miscommunication. It's still fucking weird.
That's the weirdest. That's the weirdest.
I've got to say, I think the horse kind of being in love with her is one thing.
Yeah.
And I think I understand where they were going. Like, okay, well, what if you make him human? Does it make it less weird? And if they
No.
would have just turned him into a human,
Permanently.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe that's salvageable. But then the turning back into a horse and never fully becoming human, and then Supergirl having a weird ass dream, and now the horse not being a thing, really weird.
She had them intrusive thoughts.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And then we're gonna wrap it up with Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Now, Harley Quinn has had a number of romantic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Most famously, of course, being the Joker, which is a horrible and very abusive relationship.
I was going to say that's certainly a type of relationship.
Yeah, but that is not the weirdest. And before you homophobes get all going and go, oh yeah, it was when she dated the girl. No, that's not weird either. Her and Ivy actually make quite a cute couple. The real weird one was when it was revealed in a comic run called Harley Quinn's Little Black Book, in which she discussed a number of her romantic relationships, that at one point she got trapped on an alternate world and had a romantic weekend with an alternate version of herself, taking the term self-love to a whole new level. It's
out
an
there.
interesting one. It's an interesting one. I'm not sure what's more disturbing. The fact that someone had this idea and thought it was a good idea to write it, or the fact that she managed to find another version of herself who's like, that is a brilliant idea.
The only thing with that one, I'm thinking in my head, is like, well, she was with the Joker for a long time. That's gonna mess you up quite a lot. Realistically, the only person that's gonna understand that is yourself.
Yeah, not wrong, not wrong.
So
very real, very true. But yeah, that is just a drop in the ocean. If anyone's ever bored, you should definitely go and look at some of the weirdest relationships, and like, the less action that you look at in comics, the more funny stuff you're gonna find. So there was also a comic numerous years ago in which Superman and Wonder Woman got hypnotized by a villain who in their hypnotized state made them make a pornographic video, which they then used to try and blackmail Wonder Woman and Superman.
Huh?
Comics in the 80s were interesting.
Unhinged?
Yes.
Yeah, the writers are wild then.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah. That is one takeaway from that.
Yeah. So, like I said, if you're ever bored, just Google like weirdest comic book moments, and you are going to have a hell of a time just finding all these stupid little stories. Let's get on something a lot more exciting and a lot less funny. Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Is out today.
As you're watching this, yes.
I cannot wait.
Me too.
The early reviews coming out from this are only building my hype in a way I didn't actually think was possible. I thought I was one of the most hyped people on planet Earth for this film. And they've still found ways of going, but wait, there's more. It debuted with like a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, 95, 97 is more around then. High 90s.
It is currently the fourth highest rated film of all time on Letterboxd at 4.7 out of 5.
Damn.
All I'm seeing is people losing their mind. I've had one very tiny spoiler, which I'm gonna share openly. So, skip forward 10 seconds. But the next film is rumored to be called Beyond the Spider-Verse.
That makes sense. No, I feel like that was already
It may well
said
have been.
at some point.
Apparently, there is no post-credit scene.
Oh
I will not be trusting that just in
no,
case. But apparently, there is no post-credit scene because of the cliffhanger the film ends on. They didn't want to put anything after that,
I can
which makes
understand that.
sense.
Yeah, you don't
Makes
want to
complete
break
sense.
that with some
Um,
comic thing.
but I'm also losing my mind because I cannot wait to hear the soundtrack for this film
Oh yeah.
because that only comes out tomorrow as well.
I'm gonna end up listening.
So that
No,
might genuinely just be what I listen to all day tomorrow, waiting
the
for the
thing
film.
is, it's like I'm just thinking out. It's like, do you sit there and listen to the soundtrack before seeing the film? And like, yeah, sure, but does that then not take away from appreciating that soundtrack for the first time
Maybe.
during the film?
What I will tell you is yesterday when the sun was shining on my way home, I put What's Up Danger on, and I had to be very careful to not go over the speed limit because I was vibing so hard. But for those of you who don't know, let's just go through the assembled dream team
So far
that
that we know
Metro
of.
Boomin has put together. Yeah, there's a couple more that have been announced since this has come out, I'm sure. So Metro Boomin is the producer for this, and this is the team he's put together: Lil Wayne, Nas, Future, 21 Savage, ASAP Rocky, Lil Uzi Vert, Offset, Two Chains, Nav, Don Tovier, Swale, Aboogie, Wizkid, Jid, Coileray, James Blake, Kenny Beats, Dominic Fike, Beam, Toyn, and 8. Couple of them at the end I'm not as familiar with, but there are some big boy hitters at the top there.
Yeah, there is. Like he is
Um,
stacked this.
it's almost like all them years ago. Sorry, Cameron, I'm going to give a bit of context to this. At the minute, as I'm sure you know, Hori is a connoisseur of the internet. There's a lot of memes floating around about the butterfly effect.
Mm.
Yeah. So one of my favourites that I've seen that I know we've discussed here before, but a lot of people always forget about, is the butterfly effect that led to Miles Morales being a character, which goes all the way back to Community.
Yep.
And for a 3-second joke, you get Donald Glover's character in Community wearing a Spider-Man costume when they were getting ready to do the casting for Amazing Spider-Man, and everyone was like, we want Donald Glover as Spider-Man, and that inspired the creators of Miles to create Miles.
Yep.
And all it goes to show with the amount of musicians who want to work on this film is that everyone wants their own Spider-Man. And I don't mean that in a way of, oh, let's create a million Spider-Man so everyone gets one. What I mean is the idea of anyone can be behind the mask is very important. And when they finally got that confirmation that the black community could be behind the mask with Miles, they latched onto that and went, fuck yeah, we got our Spider-Man.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm so excited. All I'm hearing is the way they've upgraded the animation, but also done these new styles because obviously each world has its own unique style and they've blended them in. Apparently, it all looks phenomenal. It's funny. The action's great. The writing is great. Just wow on all floors.
Oh, honestly, I can't wait for the visuals. And like even on the soundtrack, like I'm not surprised. I can guarantee he had no trouble getting those people on board. Because if you think of like how well like What's Up Danger and Sunflower did from the first one, like they're all gonna be thinking, yo, we can have like an absolute banger.
Yeah. But it's also really important because a lot of the time when they get artists to do music for especially comic book films, a lot of the songs don't actually get used.
No.
But the difference with the first film, Into the Spider-Verse, is the songs did get used.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to be hip hop tracks that Miles was listening to, because such a big part of Miles's character is his love of music. So what they've essentially gone to these artists is, would you like to collaborate on an album that our fictional character will be listening to for the entirety of this film? That's essentially what they've done.
Yeah.
And I mean, it works so fucking well. So well.
And if they've been told, like, okay, we need a song for this moment in the film. Like they kind of explain what they want it to invoke in like emotion wise. Like the songs are going to be written perfectly for those moments, and
It's
it's going to be so good.
it's gonna be. I was sitting here thinking, when was the last time there was a film? Look, you're just sat there waiting for it, going, "This can't miss. This won't miss. It is going to be that damn good." The last time I was this confident of a can't miss film was probably Infinity War.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I suppose I was going to say Spider-Man No Way Home, but there
Oh,
was still there was a little bit of doubt
I
there.
was worried, yeah,
Yeah,
because of all the leaks around Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Spoiler alert. I remember going into that really worried that it wouldn't be able
mm,
to live up to what I built it to in my head.
yeah. No, yeah. No, there was still that bit of unsure.
Yeah. Like, there's been others that I was confident were going to be good films, but I was like, oh, this could definitely miss.
Mm,
This one, I knew it couldn't miss.
yeah, like I can't. And you can't even really say the first Spider Verse because we didn't know anything
No,
going into
we
that.
didn't know what we were about to
Yeah.
experience.
So yeah, I think you might be right with like Infinity War. I can't
Um,
think of something that I've watched since then where I was like, oh, I knew this was going to be great.
yeah, it's absolute craziness, and it's done so much good for animation in
Mm-hmm.
general. A
Oh
lot
yeah.
of people who would never have watched cartoon stuff after becoming an adult, 'cause they're like, that's for kids,
Mm.
and now like, maybe a little animation,
Spider-Verse. Yeah.
a bit, because it's so well done, and
We
I
got
cannot
this
wait to experience it.
we got the teaser as well, didn't we, with Spot in the
Yeah, yeah.
shop.
The new little teaser of our first interaction with Spot, which felt so damn good.
It was
There,
so good and
I
so
was,
funny.
yeah. So for those who haven't seen it, what you essentially get is Spot goes into like a corner shop,
Mm-hmm.
or sorry, what do they call them?
Convenience
Convenience store.
store.
Yeah, sorry, they're a corner shop here, even though I've never actually seen one on a corner.
Yeah, you would have done. That's just a straight up lie. You must have seen a corner shop on a corner at least once. I definitely have.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so he goes into the convenience store and he asks if they have an ATM machine.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, yeah, he's at the back there. He's got a trench coat on, but you can still see all the spots off his head.
Yeah.
And basically he's trying to steal the cash from inside of the
Inside the
ATM
machine. Yeah.
machine. Yeah. And he's putting his spots down. And he's fucking up. So he's clearly not that comfortable with his powers yet, and it's all going wrong. And then the guy's trying to like stop him because he's like, "You're trying to rob me. What the fuck are you doing?" And that all starts going wrong. And he's like, "Oh, I don't. It's like it was an accident. There's nothing I can do. I can't get a regular job now, so I've had to resort to a life of crime. There's nothing I can do about that." And meanwhile, you're just getting these little like short cutaways to like Spider-Man coming in the shop, but you don't really see him, and putting like a hot pocket or whatever it's called in the
Yeah.
microwave, and then he just drops down and goes, "Why'd you call it an ATM machine? You know the M stands for machine."
Yeah.
And then it just cuts, and I'm like, "This is going to be perfect."
Honestly, when he said that, it's one of those things where you're like, oh shit, yeah, why do people? It's like the meme of SMH my head and everyone, which is
Yeah.
shake my head, my head. But oh, it's like that slight teaser just shows you what this film's gonna be. And
I just cannot wait. The talented cast of voice actors.
do you know what the bad part about this film is gonna be? Waiting for
It's going to
part two.
ruin the rest of my summer.
That yeah, no film's gonna live up to it for the rest of the year, and we have to wait for part two. And if this is on such a cliffhanger as everyone seems to be saying it is, it's going to be brutal. We're going to come out of that film and be like, I need it now.
We're going to end the episode next week just going, this is going to be the last episode ever because Spider-Verse ruined our enjoyment of any other superhero media because it was that damn good.
Yeah, we're taking a break till Spider-Verse Part 2's out.
Yeah, we'll come back for a one-time only thing. Another really interesting thing that makes most sense to put in here is as part of some strange promotional material, Sony has put together a poster.
Okay.
Which has 4 colors going down. You have Miles on the left,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have Tom, Andrew, and Toby.
Oh.
Yeah. And a lot of people, myself included, have gone, hold the fucking phone there, buckaroo. What does that... What are they doing over there?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
We're,
That's interesting bit of promotional material.
it's wild considering we've had 3 of them together, so it's not hard to imagine having 4 of them together.
You know what I'd really, really like though?
Well,
So I think it's like a meme that's never actually happened in the comics, but it might have done. But there is a meme going round of there being a Peter who is scared that they're the racist Peter when they first meet Miles, because their instant reaction is like, "Oh, you're black. I thought we were all white."
oh.
And the Jeek is like, "Shit, am I the racist Spider-Man?" I would love it if they like shoehorn that joke in there somewhere. Like when he first goes to where they all are and he takes his mask off and they're like, "Oh," like just one guy's like, "You're black," and then everyone looks at me like, "Shit, am I the racist Spider-Man?"
Or it's just,
really
or they
funny.
twist it and he goes, everyone looks and goes, "Whoa, I'm not racist. I promise, I'm not racist." That would actually be quite good.
The joke is if they go, "Shit, am I the racist Spider-Man?" Obviously, being that self-aware, they probably aren't. But it's just so Peter Parker to be like, "Shit, I always knew there must be one of us, but I didn't think it was me."
Yeah, because no, it'd be some stereotypical Southern Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I'm very, very much looking forward to it.
So am I.
I'm so beyond hype for it. We're going tomorrow. It's like a 20 to 9 showing.
I need to take a look and figure out when I'm going. Yeah, I can't wait.
This after Guardians 3, and with even more good reviews of The Flash coming out, I'm slowly growing quite confident that we're going to go 3 for 3.
Yeah,
which would be wild.
Yeah.
Especially when we've got Oppenheimer and Barbie to close out the summer.
True.
We could go 5 for 5 here, Harry.
We could. Not that I'm that fussed about seeing Barbie, but Oppenheimer looks...
Oh, come on. How can you not fancy a bit of Barbie?
It's going to be too... I'm just not that...
I'm
more focused on Oppenheimer.
I really wanted to do a double screening of them.
Oh, like back to back.
Yeah, but by looks for Oppenheimer's going to get pushed a couple of days.
Yeah, I think they've tweaked the release thing because it was like they didn't want to compete that heavily.
Which just sucks because I know in America it's really common for people to do like back to backs because everyone's got to travel 6 hours to go anywhere. So they're like, "We're going to the cinema, we're watching 2 films."
Yeah,
but it's not that common. I've got 2 cinemas within a 15-minute drive.
Yeah, same.
So I've never done a back to back because why would I? I was really looking forward to that as my excuse. I'm going to go see them both on release day, and I'm going to watch them back to back, and it's going to be great.
Wild.
But
just on like tidbit on Oppenheimer, I saw a thing of because he does it on film. There was because it's like one of the longer films that he's done in a while. There was someone who obviously works at a cinema and sets up the reels, had to put on the extenders, and it was like, of course, Christopher Nolan like requires us to dust off the extenders for the film plate to hold the reel of film. It's like, damn, that's
did you see the extension of that? So they said the last time we had to use these was when Interstellar came out.
Oh shit!
Another Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, he just know like, yeah. I think that film's going to be
because
really
I saw
good.
someone else tweet about it and they're like, "He's the only director I'd happily do this for."
Yeah, like at least you know it's worth it. When the last time this happened was Interstellar, you're like, oh, it's going to probably be worth it.
Value.
Yeah. We're going off Spider-Verse and things that it's inspired and opened up. We got the first trailer for the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, the animated film. I'm in love.
Yeah, I tweeted after seeing this, and I was like, all of the good across the Spider-Verse has done, and shining a light on the creativity you can pull off with an animation. This could be, you know how you look back at like points in history and you're like, that's where stuff went a bit wrong. And there's also times where you're like, oh, we made the right decision here, and that has definitely moved us more on the right track. this feels like an opportunity for the world to heal a little bit and embrace art in a more enjoyable way and a less pretentious way.
Yeah. Do you know what this makes me think of? Like with the whole, because Spider, like whatever way you want to look at it, people will try and say, "Well, it's different. It's not the same." Spider Verse has paved the way for this style of animation to come in.
It's proved it can be successful.
Yeah, there is points with like the Pixar style where if you look back through like animation and films, like there is like eras of styles, and what used to happen, which doesn't really happen now because it's just the way it doesn't really work this way now. But studios would put on DVDs little shorts, or they would just put together like a little short animation, which is like 5 minutes long, and often it was to test something, test a new tool, or test like a way of doing something. And there are like some of those where it's like you see that short, and that is the point when, oh, that's when Pixar style started. And like things are, you can see the start points of visual styles. Spider-Verse is the start of what is going to be a visual style of like this comic-y, more hand-drawn animated look, but in a modern sense. And
Yeah.
I'm all in for it because the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, like it holds its own style still in that realm, and it looks so cool and fits
It
so well.
I like the as stupid as it sounds, because it's like proper like baby monkey brain, but it's fully like I like the bright objects. I like just these pops of huge amounts of color,
Yeah,
and I understand for a long time of animation they're like, look how realistic we can make it. So they went for these really normal human tones that aren't as bright, but if you're gonna draw stuff, have some fucking fun with
yeah,
it. Give us them loud pops of color. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, with it being in New York, which is seen as quite a dark city, is the perfect place to do it. They are turtles which are quite a dark green in a
yeah,
dark city. They normally operate at night, and they're gonna go fuck it color.
yeah. And
So
it's like
hyped.
that plus like they've gone for a much rougher, like really hand-drawn feel to it. Like just adds to that.
Uh
And
huh.
honestly, the art style looks great. The vibe from the whole trailer is so entertaining.
I am so glad they haven't jumped straight in with Shredder. And
Yes.
this first film seems to be like a coming of age film.
Yes. It's like
I
them
cannot wait.
figuring out their place and what they're meant to be doing, which is like like definitely I'm so glad they didn't go Shredder because I wouldn't have made any sense. I love that we've got Ice Cube
Hmm.
as this like weird bug fly guy. And it's like it strangely he fits it so well. And like
It
there's
just
some of
seems angry.
and some like something from the comedy of like those moments that they were showing, like it just fits. And this idea that we're gonna have like a proper stacked crew of like actors and like different people, and then it's like, but the turtles like are just four young actors that we don't know, but it's like it balances it out. And I have to say, Jackie Chan as Splinter, like the few lines we got,
Oh,
I was
good.
like, yes, this is the perfect casting. Like, why?
Yeah.
What? What more do we need?
And it was a little joke when Leo like admits to what they done. He's like, "Oh, you're such a rat," and Jackie's
Yeah,
like, "No, you don't use that word."
yeah. It's like
So funny.
it's like modern, like even there's modern jokes like that. It's like we don't use that term anymore. And then
So good.
yeah, it's I can already tell like it's gonna be Spider
Instant
Verse.
classic.
Yeah, it's gonna be Spider Verse level of entertainment. I'm just
100%.
so hyped.
Um, and I don't care if we both of us have to go see it 100 times each to make sure a sequel gets made. I will do it
Oh,
because there
that there's
again,
gonna be
this
a
looks
sequel.
like a can't miss film.
No,
The voice acting seems so tight. I love the four more unknown young actors. Really good cast around it. Solid animation
good
style.
soundtrack.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. Miles
I
Morales continues to do more and more good for the world.
There's a point I will say there was something I was thinking through watching the trailer. At the end, they end up in like a pizza truck, like a little pizza delivery van. I want them to at some point get the garbage truck and like have the garbage truck as their vehicle because that's like an iconic thing I remember as a kid.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's like,
so fucking funny story.
Okay.
That I got one of the ones from like the 2000 animated series of their truck
Mm.
for Christmas one year.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, my favorite Christmas present.
Oh damn.
To this day, the only Christmas present I got that I didn't ask for.
Oh damn.
I didn't ask for it. I didn't even know it existed. I got
Nailed
given
it.
it, fell in love with it. I kept it for like 10 more years, and it was always used for like even when I stopped playing with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles so much and started using like action figures,
Mm.
like for different characters, that was always their vehicle because I just loved it so fucking awesome.
It's such a cool, and I'm all for them because they're young. They're using like a pizza delivery thing, plays into the pizza thing as well. Makes sense, but it's like as they, if we get a second one and they're more like becoming established, it's like yeah, now they have a garbage truck. They have to eventually do it. It's so good.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because obviously you see in the trailer that they want to be able to interact with the human world.
Mm-hmm.
Then they meet the other mutants, and there's clearly a little bit where they're like, "Oh my god, we're not alone. This is great."
Yeah.
And then they realize the other mutants like want to take over the world. So they're like, "Well, no, let's not do that. Let's
Yeah.
just, be friends."
We can all exist.
But then you get a really cool shot. And it's like, so we're going to save New York and then we're going to be accepted. And you get like that silhouette shot where you see them as like fully grown, like in a more iconic silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, oh, fuck yeah. It's going to be so good. The characterization of all of them seems really good.
Yes, it
I'd
does.
like to see Ralph turn it up a little bit, like at the right time.
Well, yeah,
Because
there's that. There
he
was
seemed just a little bit too composed, but we didn't see any real moments
we,
that got him wound up.
there was a little point in the trailer the way he's like getting a little round, like you've got an anger problem. It's like it's not a problem, but it's like he obviously is gonna. They obviously are gonna showcase it, and I do think it's gonna be one of those things where, like you say, it's a bit of the setup, and they're younger. Obviously, they're gonna like grow into those characterizations, and I'd love to see like a second one. It's like he's getting a bit more like showing that anger and a bit more hot headed.
But it's interesting because I think there is, even though like we vividly think of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as like an iconic thing, I think there is an entire generation of probably 13-year-olds who don't really know of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, and because I I don't know if you're the same as me, but like your memory is the cartoon.
Yeah,
That's
I
like
did also see the live action, really funny suit ones
yeah,
because
the jank.
that was more my brother.
Yeah, I remember
So
those
I
janky
was thinking
ass
that,
ones,
yeah,
but like the cartoon that was on TV, like that's my solid kind of memory of it. Which is
yeah.
another reason why I love that we're getting this in like an animated style because it's like an
Mm-hmm.
evolution of that. But there was like the modern films that came out, but then other than
Yeah,
that,
there was the
hasn't.
one like live action one,
Yeah, that was a bit.
which was really good, I thought.
Yeah,
But
it was.
I don't think it hit their goal. So it was profitable and it actually did quite well for what reasonable people
Mm,
expected. But it didn't hit the goal for them to want to do a sequel, just like the Power Rangers reboot.
yeah,
Two
it's
things
like
that I will never get over.
it's like it hit the mark, but it didn't quite like break past just being like a Teenage
Yeah,
Mutant Ninja Turtles
it
film.
wasn't innovative enough to
Yeah,
go out and destroy box offices and make them want to make a
but
second.
you're right.
Hopefully, this one will.
There's a period there where like, because I guarantee that cartoons stopped being on TV, and it's like there's a period of people that don't have any
Yeah.
like association to it. Especially now, like I think about my nephew and stuff, like the stuff they watch. There's no Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's no talk of that. Whereas this film potentially will reinvigorate that whole
Could
a
you
new
imagine a
generation.
whole new generation of like 13-year-olds going, I am rewatching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I just get to go,
Well, on a whole new generation of kids being like, I'm Michelangelo, I'm Raphael, and it's like,
oh, I want to hear the debates of who's the coolest again. Oh, but it's interesting because a couple of months ago, do you remember it got leaked that they're working on a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game based on the last Ronin story
yes,
arc from the comics, which
yes,
is when the other three have died, and Michelangelo, which everyone seems to forget, is the only
mm-hmm.
one who's left. So you go from Mikey, who's obviously really goofy and silly, is now
to like
like
stoic and
more like Raph in like very kind of, and he's like got all of the weapons in your fucking
yeah.
unit. So apparently there's a game like that still in the world. I'm so down for not Marvel and DC to die off a little bit, but to lose a little bit of a stranglehold.
Yeah, and we
so that
get some of these
Teenage Mutant
other.
yeah, for like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, ideally like your Ben 10s and like them other kind of fringe cartoons that were
Yeah.
really popular to just get a boost. That'd be amazing.
Oh yeah, it really would. It really would. News time.
Should we get into some spicy news?
Yes.
There is quite a range
Yeah,
of
there is.
discussions here.
There
I
is.
think it's like what we said a couple of months back with Spider-Verse getting a lot of news right now. Every other thing that's not connected to it's kind of like I would like
Hey,
to make some noise, please.
yeah, don't forget about us.
Yeah.
We're still here.
So starting off with Sam Raimi
Mm.
is apparently interested in bringing Ra's al Ghul into James Gunn's DCU.
Mm.
I'm really curious to see how that would work.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
Sam Raimi likes a bit more of a I don't want to say horror, but more horror than traditional comic book media style.
Mm.
Like he likes a little bit of a creepiness to what he does, which could work really well with Ra's al Ghul. But
Yeah.
I, as a general rule, don't like films where the villain is the main character. I think it sends the wrong message.
Fair. I think it could be interesting to see how he'd want to do it, and I suppose like until we kind of see what sort of universe James Gunn's going to build out, and like how the tone of these different films, it's hard to see how that would fit in. Maybe.
But I mean, we know that we're getting Damian Wayne.
Yeah.
So I mean, Damian Wayne is Ra's al Ghul's grandson.
So maybe that's how they tie it in.
One thing I will say is, while I did not dislike Christopher Nolan and Liam Neeson's version of Ra's al Ghul, please do not whitewash him again. The man's name is Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
He has lived for centuries. He is from the Middle East. He is not white. He does not look like Liam Neeson, who comes from Ireland.
Yeah. Thinking about
That
that.
is a big thing we
Well,
need to do better this time.
yeah, and I trust in James Gunn to make sure those sort of things don't happen.
Yes.
Rethinking about like how this could fit in, maybe it's a thing down the line where we know we're getting Damian Wayne. Like maybe the film is like his Raj Al Ghul trying to like influence it. Like there's a film
Yeah.
around them too, possibly.
Yeah. I mean,
It,
we've got to remember the first phase is called Gods and Monsters, isn't it? Or
yeah,
Monsters and Gods.
yeah.
You could argue that
Raj Al Ghul's a god.
yeah, he fits right into that. He's a monster who thinks he's a god.
Mm-hmm. Also in Sam Raimi news, which I've realised we didn't put on here, have you seen that he's pitted to maybe be the new Secret Wars
Yes,
director?
director. Yes.
And people were very excited to hear that.
I like the idea of him directing it. I'm as long as they at the minute the writer apparent for Secret Wars is Michael Waldron, who wrote Multiverse of Madness. And everyone's kind of under the same opinion that the thing that hurt Multiverse of Madness the most was the quality of the writing. So people are like, yes, let Sam Raimi direct it. Do not let Michael Waldron write it.
Yeah,
Which isn't apparently locked in. So he might not be writing it. So we might get what we want.
true. I do think it's good in the sense of like we're seeing that Kevin seems to be struggling with finding directors for these projects that he can trust enough to manage them.
Yeah.
And at least Sam Raimi has proven himself to be, at least to Kevin, that he can manage like these projects. So
yeah,
potentially a good thing if he gets to be part of it.
Yeah. And as stupid as it sounds, I think the writer strikes are going to help Marvel to get a grip on this again because it's going to force them to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
As we will discuss in a little bit, which means they can focus on getting each project right and dropped. Because when everyone saw that timeline for phase 4, 5, and 6, everyone went, that seems very condensed. And then we got the first batch of delays because of Blade fuck ups. And now with the writer strike, I think it's all going to work itself out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Now, as much love as I'm going to give across the Spider-Verse, and while Sony do technically run that, Sony still get no love because they continue to fuck up. Madam Web.
Yes.
The film that we routinely forget about because it is the most bizarre film to ever be made. The cast is just getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
So Sydney Sweeney is joining Sony's Madam Web film as Julia Carpenter, who is a Spider-Woman.
Okay.
Now, I am all for female-led films. However, it seems like Madam Web is just trying to hire all of the actresses who would be described in them trashy articles and films as the prettiest actresses in the world.
Yeah, and a lot of them are like currently on very popular things or have been like, recent big stars.
And with the way Morbius has been reviewed and like just Sony stuff in general, I'm really worried they're hoping they can put butts in seats off the popularity of the actors, and the film quality is going to suffer.
It feels like they're stacking the roster in the hopes that that will make a good film.
Yes.
Even though Sony's proven many a time that they can't write a good film.
And here's the thing. Spider-Man is the most popular superhero in the world. It's not really up for debate. Some people try and say Batman, some people try and say Superman. They know fuck all, it's Spider-Man, and it's actually not as close as you'd even think. And what Miles and Across and Into the Spider-Verse have done, as well as the Spider-Man games, has brought more attention to like Peter Parker's supporting cast and related characters and everything around that.
Yeah.
Which means there are going to be people who are going to go, Madam Web. That's from Spider-Man. I remember seeing Madam Web in the animated cartoon when I was growing up. That's probably going to be really cool. Oh, look, they've got these actresses from all these different shows. You got your one from 50 Shades of Grey, Euphoria, bunch of other stuff. This is going to be great. And then they're going to rock up and go, that was shit.
Yeah. I also worry that did we find out if Sony tried to make Morbius part of I know it's like Venom and Morbius are in the same world. So I suppose they're keeping it separate from MCU. I worry that they're going to go with Madam Web and be like,
no, because Michael Keaton's Vulture from Homecoming was in Morbius.
Yeah, but then,
no one knows. No one knows. No one knows.
So my worry is
that
they're going
to sit here and go multiverse.
They're just going to shoehorn Madam Web into that same universe that they're trying to build, which is like, it's like they're seeing Marvel building this huge universe and they have Spider-Man in it, and they're like, damn, we just need our own we need our own universe. Let's that's where we're going wrong. We need to tie these films together. And it's like they're going to shove a vegan Craven in there, and then they're going to shove Madam Web, which is next thing you know, they're going to be like, oh yeah, Vin Diesel's here, drifting his way through. It's
concerning.
It is. I really wish there was a universe or timeline where we can just skip to where Sony loses the rights to Spider-Man.
And here's the problem: the layman is not going to understand when they go and see a Madam Web or a Craven film and they get the Marvel scroll at the front because it is technically a Marvel property, even though Sony own it. They're not going to understand that it's not connected to the MCU. So when Craven is shit, you're just going to get a whole bunch of another MCU bomb trash.
Yeah.
And we're just like, no, this is look how they've massacred my boy.
Do you know what I can't wait for, though? We got the Morbin Time meme from Morbius. I can't wait for the Craven, like a Craven vegan meme, and then some Madam Web meme. It's just going to be a meme machine. That's all this is going to be.
The bigger problem is if this Spider-Verse does really well, which it's going to,
Well, yeah.
and the live action films do really shit, the wrong people at Sony are going to start paying too much attention to the Spider-Verse and they could hurt it. Because I'm telling you right now, it's the decision makers who are fucking up these live action films. So we need them to stay away from the video games and the animated stuff. Because that's where the real fans are having a great time. Because they're like, yeah, this is good shit. And if the wrong people get over there, because that's where all the money's being made, and they have to fill their commission or whatever, we're in trouble.
I'm hoping that whatever the animation studio and that agreement over there is pretty locked up tight that people can't interfere with.
I really hope so. I really, really hope
Yeah.
so. A really, really weird bit of news up next.
Yeah, a rogue bit of news here.
Yeah. The Flash director says no one would replace Ezra Miller in his sequel. This tells me one of two things.
The
That
man's
director
delirious.
is not doing the sequel, or there is no sequel at all.
I was going to say, so I read this headline and I was like, it's bold of you to assume that the Flash doesn't die after this film. Like what sequel do you think you're getting? In what world do you think James Gunn is going to give you a sequel and let Ezra Miller be in it?
In a world where people stop being angry after something for 2 weeks, the internet is still angry at Ezra Miller.
Yeah, the internet hasn't forgotten. Yeah, we've got angry about other stuff and we might not mention it as much, but like it was such a wild hill to want to die on.
Yes. And I genuinely, with all of the positive reviews coming out about this film and about their performance and all of that, I'm just there like, what dirt does Ezra Miller have on all these people? Because one of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to come out that Ezra Miller is the head of the Scientology religion, and he has the dirt on everyone. Sorry, they have the dirt on everyone.
He's on the top floor. How would they fucking do it?
Or we are going to see one of the most powerful acting performances of all time, and we're going to come out of the cinema weeping, going, "Let them stay. They're so talented. It doesn't matter."
Third option. What the fuck is in Ezra Miller's contract that's not allowing them to say anything bad or do it? Like,
do you know what I mean?
Once this film's out, imagine if it's just like from everybody that said all this stuff, like, no, we're not getting rid of. Yeah, it's fine. We're just all 180. It's like, right, the film's out. Yeah, we're done with him. We're scrapping him. Burn him. It's wild. The funny thing is like that director probably said that in a random interview as a past. Like someone said, like, future of Ezra Miller in the Flash. He's like, well, if I do a sequel, he's still like, no, I'm not replacing him. Didn't realize that, like, one, you riled up all the people that hate Ezra Miller. Then you riled up just the book fans that were like, imagine being Warner Brothers wanting to stand behind a man with several lawsuits against him, but then they got rid of Henry Cavill as Superman, which is like, besides the fact that like the Henry Cavill situation is like completely different, and I'm pretty sure he has this Warhammer project that like was the real reason he went away. But like, he's just made it worse for themselves. Like he's just like brought up a storm of bad press again, and it's like, you're not helping your own film here.
It's the only thing that logically makes sense to me, which means it probably isn't the truth, is the executives have met with Ezra and they genuinely understand that he had a very severe mental break when all of this happened. And they know how hard Ezra is working on himself on their self to be better. Which is why they don't want to come out and bash them, because they understand how hard they're working. But to everyone else, it just looks like they're protecting someone who's got multiple criminal charges pending against them.
Yeah. It's just a wild, like, it was just a wild rogue comment from the director. And I think the thing that was more rogue to me is like, bold of you to assume, like, you're not getting a sequel, so where's this sequel idea coming from? Because James Gunn ain't giving you one. So yeah, it's
talking of people reprising their roles.
Hmm.
Chris Hemsworth claims he's only coming back to the MCU as Thor for a unique or special story. So I take that to mean I will not be Thor again until Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars. Leave me alone.
Well, he said something after Fall Love and Thunder of similar like context and along the lines of like he has been fine with the direction that Thor's gone, but if he's to play him again, he wants it to be in a completely new direction of like a more like he's done with the funny kind of fuck about Thor sort of like energy. Which don't get me wrong, films they had their place, they were funny. We enjoyed the Fall Love and Thunder, but like yeah, I don't think we see him before Secret Wars unless they turn around and go, right, we've got a new writer in doing Thor, and it's like this new, more serious. I don't know, but like,
Yeah.
it's it's also that thing of like, look, Iron Man. We said this last week. Iron Man turned 15 years old. Like a lot of these actors have been playing this character for like multiple films, in appearances and all the other ones. Like they just like, yeah, I've played Thor now for like 10 years. Don't, I'm cool. I'll do something else now, which is fair enough.
Mm.
Also don't think we need four, like a four film.
I think the problem is while the character is still alive and we know he's out there saving people still, people are kind of going to want to go, what's going on with Thor?
Yeah, just call four over.
Yeah.
But
But I do understand the idea of just leaving it for a while.
yeah, I
I mean,
kind of.
it's like.
Well,
Go on.
I was gonna say I was kind of hoping there was going to be an appearance in Loki season 2 of like Loki spots him, but then maybe doesn't reveal himself to him or something. But then I was like, well, that's not happening now.
But like the idea of leaving a character and then coming back a long time later is one that I mean I tweeted about it literally the other day. Christian Bale at the end of his Christopher Nolan trilogy,
yeah,
was dead as Bruce Wayne, but we all know he escaped, or we're led to believe he escaped.
yeah,
He is now 49 years old. In
mm,
11 years, he will be 60. Quick maths. At that point, I want a live action Batman Beyond film with Christian Bale as old Bruce Wayne. What you get is you get the nostalgia for people like us going, fucking Batman.
yeah,
You get the ability to do Batman Beyond, which fans are begging for. And even if no one, like, even if, like, the younger generation haven't watched Chris Nolan's Batman trilogy, it doesn't particularly matter because Christian Bale's still just going to be an actor and a good
yeah.
one. So if they, like, as long as you don't try and make obscene amounts of references to his time as Batman, which you shouldn't need to, you're
No,
fine. But then people will get to go, oh, wait, he actually did some Batman films as Batman. Let me watch them, and it will give you even more appreciation for everything. Just leave the character alone for a while.
I agree. To be honest, you could with Thor, they've done it in the past where they're like, oh yeah, he's off world, like we can't get hold of him, like he's not. They could very easily down the road with like Secret Wars, um, we get an older, grizzled, like Thor that's like Odin age, and he's just like, okay, this shit's getting too out of control. Like I couldn't not be involved, and he's just come down and just fuck shit up as like, oh shit, because everyone, it's like we hear nothing and we just think he's gone doing the like whole Uncle Thor thing, and it's like we're okay with that. We can accept that he's off doing that now, and it's like everyone will move on and we'll get all these new characters that we're getting, and everyone will become focused on the new team and all this new group of people. And then down the line in Secret Wars, if we just get Thor just fucking out of nowhere, just rocks up, everyone's gonna be like, oh shit.
Bring me Kang.
It's just like you know you can see it now. Like if they just don't touch him and there's like no teaser at anything, and it's like mid-film, there's like a little bit of static lightning, everyone's gonna be like, wait a second. oh shit, and then it's
Pause.
just like boom, Thor's here. It's
Yeah,
like
100%.
oh, so yeah, let
Yeah,
Chris Hemsworth
100%.
go off, do his own thing for a bit, bring him back
Yeah,
down the line.
he's got the really really popular Netflix original film
Yeah,
Extraction 2 coming out. And apparently Extraction 3 is already in the way. Let him go do his thing for a little while, then he can come back when
yeah.
we really need him. Um, Talking MCU films.
Mm.
Apparently it's been announced. I mean, I don't know if this will be MCU. It's probably Sony, which might make it a little bit scarier. Apparently a live action Miles film is being worked on.
I
Yeah, daddy.
hope it's MCU.
I pray.
I pray, and I hope that although Sony is doing all this other shit with their own little mini Spider Verse, what the fuck they're making, um, I trust that they're not that delusional that they can't see the success they've had with Spider-Man in the MCU and with Tom Holland. Like they've come to realize like the success that that's given them, and it's like okay, hopefully for a character like Miles, they understand. I hope they understand the weight of that character and the importance, and that like to allow that to be part of the MCU and that bigger thing is like plays so much bigger into their hand in terms of making them money, but also just for the whole use of that character. Like it'd just be such a better use.
What I need them to do is spend 2 or 3 years working on the script, and then in 2025, they find a 13-year-old black boy so that we get a proper young Miles,
Mm.
and they do it proper.
I have one request.
Well,
Donald Glover has to be his uncle
yeah, 100%.
because they've made that establishment already.
Yeah.
So if like in another like because of who knows, we're not gonna get like Miles Morales film probably for a few years. Donald Glover's a little bit older then. Starting
Yeah,
to
100%. Make the Prowler like the antagonist of the first film. Fuck it. Let's do it. Donald Glover's the Prowler, yes. Give it to me. I'm still upset that Donald Glover never got a chance as Spider-Man. Let him at least be involved.
well, yeah, that's the
Let him
thing.
give us some.
We understand that he is getting too old now, and it's like,
Unless they want to do like an old man Miles story, which would be kind of fun.
yeah, like just wait. It's like they do a bit of time hopping and they go into the future, and it's just an old man Miles, and
Yeah.
it's just Donald Glover.
Just wait for Donald Glover to finish the Community film, 6 seasons and a movie.
Yeah.
And then we can start working it out, because I'm telling you, it's going to be so good.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 4
Mm,
in the MCU.
yes.
It's still in development, but it is being delayed, will be delayed, has already been delayed due to Writers Guild of America strikes, as
Yeah.
well as the Batman Part 2 being
Mm,
delayed due
yes.
to Writers Guild of America strikes.
Now, with Spider-Man, I imagine with them saying like development still going on, there's a lot more than like just writing goes on to pre-production and development. So that stuff can all kind of carry on with costume making, prop design, all that. That stuff's probably still going ahead, delayed, but because they don't want to start without writers, which is a good like. I'm glad that we're seeing both Batman 2, which means good job Matt Reeves, and we're seeing Spider-Man 4 are accepting delays and not trying to force through this stuff, and shows that hopefully with like Spider-Man for the rest of the MCU, hopefully that becomes like across the board. Deadpool, we're looking at you. Just stop. Just pause. Stop trying to force it. Hope
I think
hopefully this is good signs for MCU and DCU.
I think we should take note of what productions are smart enough to realize they need to delay,
Mm.
and what productions think they can do it without the writers, and then we will know what to be surprised and what not to be surprised about when certain films shit the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there won't be some films that pause and end up being shit, and I'm not saying there aren't some films that won't pause and end up still being good, but a lot of them will follow this pattern of, oh, they didn't delay, that film was not as good as it should have been. They did delay, that film was as good as it should have been. At the end of the day, support unions, support workers.
Yeah,
like I'm not even talking to like Hollywood, not that Hollywood listens to the podcast or Hollywood is an individual person.
you never know.
But as individual people, corporations don't give a fuck about us other than our spending power. So you never know when you might be in a union or you might need a union to fight for you. So back a union when it's striking and trust that they are just trying to look after themselves and that support them. There is basically no time ever that a union or the workers of a union have been trying to screw over a normal person or screw over anyone. They just don't want to be the one getting screwed over.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think that's too much to ask.
And I hope some of those films that are trying to push through, it wouldn't surprise me if some of them then become delayed because they get through a process, they're looking back through it and they go, hang on, this isn't working. Pause, we're going to have to
reshoots.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if in 6 months' time to a year, like we're hearing about, oh, so-and-so's reshooting stuff. Like they're back in for reshoots because they tried pushing through. So, yeah, like you say, stand with the strikes. They're doing it from the right place and they're trying to better those people's lives.
Yeah.
It means better content for us.
It will do. Shall we move on to the content? Shall we move on to the content championship, Mr. Zontal?
Yes, we shall.
This week we got a spicy one.
Yeah,
the battle of the shitters.
Well, one more so than others.
X-Men Origins Wolverine versus Batman and Robin 1997. So for those of you who are unaware, Batman and Robin was before I was born and while Horry was already alive because he's so much older than me. But it was also when George Clooney was Batman. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy.
Interesting cast and outfits.
It was a film.
It was a film.
So,
at least Wolverine, we had Hugh Jackman. At least that was a solid pick.
I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that whoever makes it through this battle probably won't make it through the next round. Probably.
You never know.
So, yeah. So, as always, we discuss 6 points.
Yep, 6 categories.
When we're doing this, 3 subjective and 3 objective. These are personal relevance, how well has it aged, and rewatchability, and then story, acting, and cinematography. Cinematography, I still haven't come up with a better name of. It's just general visual vibe, but visual vibe doesn't sound very right.
No, and I mean it's from the VFX and the post-production to sound design to how it's actually shot. Yeah, it's just how well has the director actually shot the film.
Production quality is probably the
possibly
right term.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna keep it with cinematography because I like the word. I'm gonna stop.
Okay.
So personal relevance. X-Men Origins.
Yes.
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is always good.
Yep.
And we get Ryan Reynolds' first appearance as Deadpool.
Highs and lows.
Personal relevance for Batman and Robin.
You weren't born.
I just put bat nipples SMH.
Yeah, I mean personal relevance. Yeah, you've got Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Can't really go wrong with that. As you say, we got. Well, but for the Batman and Robin, I just have Clooney Batman. Full stop. Just that's kind of sums it all up, and it's like everyone when they rate the Batman actors.
They either forget George Clooney or absolutely toast him.
Yeah, it's like there's a reason. And I can't say I think I've actually ever watched that film all the way through.
Put it this way, George Clooney is a very talented actor.
Yeah.
He has apologized on a number
Oh
of
yeah.
occasions for this film.
Yeah.
That tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. Like he knows. And when I think personal relevance, it's like I have no connection at all, other than like I know it's a Clooney Batman. I've never watched all the way through. Don't care to. Whereas at least X-Men Origins, with its faults and questionable choices, I have seen it a couple of times over the years. Like I am happy enough to watch it if it's on TV.
Okay. How well it has aged. Um, so for X-Men, I put overall poorly, but it did eventually give us Ryan Reynolds as a proper Deadpool.
Yeah. So I've got
That's me just kind of grasping at straws.
yeah, for how well it's aged, I was just like, again, Clooney Batman. Like, we all know that's aged like milk.
Yeah,
And
I said for Batman, I literally wrote horrific. No one involved remembers it fondly. Did a lot of damage to Batman's brand.
yeah, it really did. Whereas at least like we got the origin of Wolverine and we got to see Hugh Jackman, like how he became Wolverine, which was great. And I think that's the fun, like, I'm glad we've got that. And as much as we've like got memes out of Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, as you say, it's meant we've eventually got the actual Deadpool, and in a way, they've even in that film
Value.
they've memed that
Yeah.
Deadpool in his like proper one. So it's like in a way it's aged quite well because it's allowed them to like play off of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, not I mean it's not aged amazingly.
Now this is where I get a bit rogue.
Hmm.
So rewatchability. X-Men Origins, I put as a 1 out of 10.
Okay.
I don't think I would ever in a million years rewatch that film. But Batman, I gave a 3 out of 10.
Whoa.
And my note here is purely for the cringe and for a blast from my childhood. This is my thought process here for rewatchability. Batman and Robin is so bad. It's entered into it's so bad. It's like cathartic.
I get you.
So I think I'd be more likely to like get a couple of bevs, get some snacks, and watch that and just shit talk the film the entire time.
I can understand that. Yeah. I think for these two, it's like there's no universe where I would purposely go to a shelf and pick out one of them. So then it's a case of like, okay, another situation of like rewatchability is like if they're on TV and I'm like flicking through and there's a film and I see both of these, which would I flick onto to watch? And it would be Wolverine, but I would say that while I would happily rewatch it, by the time it gets about halfway through and they're doing the whole Deadpool shit, I'd probably flick off. I've like, cool, I've seen Hugh Jackman become Wolverine. I'm done with that now. Yeah, I got my fill. So Wolverine takes it slightly just because I'd watch some of it.
Yeah, no, I fully get that. And like I said, while it is the worst film, Batman is only higher for me because it gets to that point where I can actually sit down and just talk shit about the film the entire time to make it more cathartic. Story. So for Wolverine, I've gone 4 out of 10. Was nice to see a bit of Wolverine's past story. It was okay. The way they handled Deadpool was poor, and everything overall was just like poorly executed.
Yeah. Like, so I can't even tell you what the Batman story is. Other than I know it has obviously Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze.
So for Batman, I went 2 out of 10. Reduced Bane to a monstrous henchman.
Yeah. Oh, I completely forgot about that.
And it has a really weird sexualization of Batgirl, even by
Oh.
90s standards.
Yeah, I don't
Like
even remember those things.
even by the weird standards of the 90s,
Yeah.
I felt uncomfortable watching parts around Batgirl.
Yeah. So it's like the story for Batman's just kind of like whereas
It's an
like
absolute mess
similar
of
to
crap.
you with Wolverine, of like it was nice to kind of get to experience like Wolverine older years and then getting to see. I did enjoy the story and the way they did his origin of like him getting his adamantium. I think they handled that well, and it's like, don't get me wrong, it's nothing crazy for an origin film. It's like, but at the time it was pretty standard. Like those origin films were pretty standard, and it did it well enough. It does very much like the story collapses when you start adding the whole Deadpool thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only reason I would like hit it slightly higher, just a little.
Yeah. Acting. Dun dun dun. This might be the most decisive category for me.
Okay.
Hugh Jackman is always good as Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Reynolds steals the show until that decision. That is exactly what I've written. I can't even discuss it. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Ryan Reynolds is phenomenal, and then they make that decision, and I just want to put my fist through the TV.
Do you know what's wild? Is like for acting, like you say, Hugh Jackman can't even like you can't go wrong. He is Wolverine, and it's like he's great. Ryan Reynolds, I mean, it's Ryan Reynolds. Like he has a certain like he can't be bad,
Yeah.
and even with the lack of lines, he does his best. And at the end of the day, he did a better job than with a digital suit. So, I mean, and then on the other side of things, you've got Clooney who apologizes for that
Yeah.
film. So I think that kind of summarizes everything you need to know about the acting on that side.
Yeah. I put George Clooney's worst ever performance by far. No one really steals the show. Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy was okay at best.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of them. Yeah.
The less said about Schwarzenegger, the better.
Yeah, he's played better roles.
It was not.
It's fine.
I
It was
mean, in no
early
disrespect,
career for him.
because yeah, I mean, in no disrespect, because an accent and not speaking your first language shouldn't be something that people are mocked for.
No.
But his accent and his past as a bodybuilder
Hmm.
and his past as an action star
Didn't
do not lean themselves towards genius who's had an accident.
would have been better to cast him as Bane.
Yeah.
It's one of those unfortunate things of he was height of his early career, like coming off of those very popular films, trying to find his place in Hollywood. And I think unfortunately this like was pre him really understanding what his role type was and casting place was. But yeah, there's a reason George Clooney apologizes for that film. So
Yeah.
cinematography.
See, this is interesting. This is the only one where I have anything positive to say about Batman.
Oh,
So I said I actually liked the different style they tried in that film for a lot of like the shots of Gotham and stuff. A lot of it was quite different.
yeah,
It gave it more of like a comic book je ne sais quoi kind of feel.
I get
But
you.
there was a number of parts of it, especially the costumes, which were really poorly done.
You didn't like the costumes?
I did not like the costumes.
I was gonna say, like, I can agree on that. Some of the shots of like Gotham and stuff, and the style they were trying to achieve, I can
In a
appreciate.
better film, that could have taken it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the script just was not there.
No. And then like you say, some of the costume design was it was
Bat
it was a it was
nipples.
a choice. It was a choice. We'll leave it at that. Whereas I feel like for Wolverine, we got some pretty good like VFX moments, and like I have to say, the stuff that they did with the VFX for like his claws and all that was very well done. And I mean, it's not hard to go too wrong with like just an action film.
Yeah, I mean, while the VFX and that is all solid, I just put okay, very 2000s bland
Yeah,
color palette. It was just all very flat looking. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong, the
it was.
VFX were good, but there was nothing to it.
Yeah, it was of that era of action films, superheroes. Like it didn't
Yeah,
do anything crazy to stand out, but I mean, it wasn't like
yeah.
shockingly bad or
As
anything.
as I'm getting, I say a bit older, I'm still young, but as I am honing my tastes a bit more, we'll say, I would rather brighter, more colorful stuff.
Yeah, or have like a very set look. For example, like Batman, or like the newer Blade film. That color
Yeah,
palette, like films that have like a very set, doesn't necessarily have to be like bright colors, but like they have a
a
look.
style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a style and something that like a way that stands out from the rest. I agree. Like the
Because
bland kind of
as weird as it sounds, even if the style is like obviously not very realistic, I can suspend my disbelief if it's pretty. It's like, okay, yeah, obviously stuff doesn't look like that, but it's nice to look at.
unless it's the color blue. We won't go there. Um, no, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was nothing special.
And I mean,
I
in
think,
no shocking turn of events here.
oh yeah, it's like as bad as X Men Origins is, it is absolutely curb stomped by far the worst Batman media of all time.
Yes. And
Um,
you say that like the person that wins this might not get through the next round. You never know.
I mean, I kind of do know because I know who they're going to be up
Yeah,
against.
you do. I think you should change
So
it and we should put X-Men Origins Wolverine against Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
And then we have to decide what was the
Oh,
worst one for Ryan Reynolds.
Green Lantern was worse.
Yeah. Digital suit.
Um,
What a choice. It was a choice.
there was a number of them films in the late 2000s, early
They
2010s where
they,
decisions were made.
they made choices trying to be different, should have stuck in their lanes. But yeah.
Yeah, I would rather the bland color palette than a full CGI suit ever again.
Yeah. So yeah, for this week's, obviously Wolverine goes forward.
Yeah,
Cheers, Clooney, but yeah, you staying down
yeah.
there.
While I'm desperate to see
Oh,
Christian Bale come back to be an
yes.
older Bruce Wayne one day, you can stay the fuck away. Respectfully.
You know that there was a
um,
conversation with the Flash film of like, we want to bring back an old Batman. And they probably discussed like, do we do Christian Bale? Do we do um there's someone at
I
that
mean,
table jokingly was like, um, George Clooney? And everyone just
I
looked at
don't
them and was like, no.
I don't think you could pay George Clooney any amount of money to come
Oh no,
back.
I don't think you could
I
either.
think he's like, I am not pissing off Batman fans again. It was bad enough before the internet.
I think I genuinely think there's like one person at the table suggested it and everyone was like, what the fuck are you talking about? But like if they had, like you say, if they'd gone to George Clooney and gone, we've got this idea, he would have just gone, are you like deranged? Like, do you want this film to just bomb? Like, do you know Batman fans? He would have just turned it down and been like, no, this is a dumb idea.
Yeah. If that film had come out like during the internet as it is, like, even in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, when Twitter was first a thing, George Clooney might never have acted again.
Yeah. Oh, he would have.
Could you imagine the reaction to that film on like a social media world? Jesus Christ.
I think what would have been worse is George Clooney would have gone off, like, because he acted before, like, he would have gone back to his keeping in his lane. I think the
100%.
worst thing is, had that come out in the social media era, that would have killed any future of a Batman film.
For a long, long time.
Yeah,
For a
they
lot
would have just
longer
been
than
like, ah, shit, we're just gonna have to, like, Batman's dead now.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been less than 10 years before they did a
No.
reboot.
No, it wouldn't.
But that is it from us this week.
Yes.
Obviously, next week we will be back with our review of Across the Spider-Verse. I cannot wait.
Yeah, so expect next week to be like an hour of us just gushing over.
Well, you're gonna get 30 minutes of us talking about the visuals before we even get into the fucking plot. I can already tell.
Visuals, then the soundtrack, then we'll get into the plot, then we'll get into like the way it's ended and all our thoughts for like, oh shit, now we have to wait for the next one. It's gonna be a hefty review.
We will also have the content championship, which will be Star Wars Rebels versus Batman Beyond.
I already have my winner. Not biased.
Sorry, leave some suspense for the love of God.
I'm not biased.
But we will catch you all next week. Make sure you liked, make sure you subscribed. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.